Alright, so you've got a lab to do, and you have to have a GitHub repo in order to hold your lab, in order for myself and Spencer to be able to grade it. So, we're going to create a new repository. It's pretty simple. You're going to go to github.com, and on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see this shiny green button that says New. This creates a new repository. So let's go ahead and click it. Alright, and then we're going to create a new repository. So, you're the owner, and then give it like a name that makes sense, like Lab1 Chirpus. Or you can call it like maybe Grand Circus Lab. I mean, I don't really care what you call it as long as it makes sense. Always make sure that your repositories are public. If they're private, we can't look at it. That's not going to help anybody. And the rest of the stuff we don't really care about, we're going to do create repository. All right, great. We've got a repository, but it's empty. It's blank. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this blank, empty repository and clone it to our own machine. That way we can do our labs. So I'm going to go over here and hit this button here to copy this link. I'm going to open up my terminal. Remember, you can use this command prompt or you can use a terminal in Visual Studio Code. They're basically the same thing. Here I have a folder for labs. Okay, remember this folder is not inside the classroom folder. So it's in its own folder away from other stuff. All right, inside this folder I'm going to git clone and then paste that URL I got from GitHub and hit enter. Right, it will tell me I cloned an empty repository. I'm going to cd into there and I'm going to do code dot to open it up in Visual Studio Code. And now I've got, here is my folder, Grand Circus Lab. Remember, look on the left hand side of the screen to see what folder you're in. Grand Circus Lab is the folder I'm currently in. And then I can just go ahead and do my lab. Now, there's kind of two ways you can organize this. You can do one repository per lab. That is one way of doing it. What I mean by that is every time you're going to do a lab, you're going to make a new repository. So what I mean by that is you're going to go to github.com and you're going to hit new and you're going to do one repository per lab. Or you could do what I just did and have Grand Circus Labs or lab. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put all our labs in one repository. Here's what that would look like. So let's say I go into Visual Studio Code, make a folder, Lab1 Chirpus. And then you do some stuff, okay? HTML. Okay. Pretend that this is what is needed for the first lab. Okay, so let's say you have your lab number 1, Chirpus. And let's go ahead, let's actually rename this to do lab number 1. Way it's clear. I'm going to open up my terminal. Okay, notice we're in the Grand Circus Lab folder. Now I'm going to go ahead and do git add dot git commit -m finished lab 1 and then do git push. Okay, notice how I now have lab1 Chirpus in my GitHub repo. Now, if you want to use one repo for all your labs, all you would have to do is inside this Grand Circus Lab folder, the main folder, I'm just going to add another folder for lab 2. Chirpus part 2. In here, you would just go ahead and do your stuff. Okay, this is what I did for lab 2. Okay, and then you would just do like lather, rinse, and repeat. Git add dot, git commit -m did lab number 2, yay me, git push. And then when we come here, you'll have lab 2, and you'll just lather, rinse, repeat for every single lab. So basically, I don't really care which one you do. I would just pick one. If you want to have one repository and you're going to just have a folder for each of your labs and you're just going to commit and push them one by one, that's cool. If you want to make one lab per repository, so every time you do a new lab, you're going to make a new repository, that's also cool. Okay, so just pick one early on and go with it.